Yo, what's going on guys? I'm back again with a new video, and in today's video we're going to be talking about how to best spend your gems as a free-to-play player. This video was requested by a person in my comments, funny enough the only person in the comments on that particular video, and they wanted to know how to best spend your gems as a free-to-play player. So I'm just going to do a quick list on what I think to be the best way to spend your gems as a free-to-play player. Now, the first thing I would recommend you do, this is whether you're free to play or not free to play, is get your trove up. Use your gems to buy the crystal pickaxes and get this up to level 9. That is an absolute must for both free to play and pay to play because it just gives you more gems to spend each month. And always invest the maximum amount, whether it be 10,250 or whatever the max is. I think 35,000 at this point with the research and everything, or 40,000. I've lost count. Maybe even 50,000. I can't remember. Next is probably as a free to play player, work on your gem buildings, because getting to T4 is no easy feat as a free to play player. So now the real question is, what order do you do them in? Do you do them one at a time, or do you do them evenly? So get them all up to 2, then get them up to 3, then 4, and so on. Or do you get one up to 25, then the next, then the next? I personally would say get them up one at a time, but you can do them in any order you want. If you do them one at a time, then the order I recommend is probably Battle Hall, then the Prison, then the Altar. Just because as a free-to-play player, you're probably around the 30 to 70 mil mark, I would say. Maybe less, I don't know. And you probably won't have a use for the Altar anytime soon, because you need to hold a prisoner for about 3 or 4 days to execute them. And as a free-to-play player, you're probably going to be getting hit quite often, just because you're an easy target. But don't let that be a put off to the game. You can hide, you can send your resources away, you can hide your leaders in other castles that are shielded. You can use the shelter, you can use dark nests, etc. to hide your stuff. I'm using shields I get from gifts that I open from my guildmates hunting monsters and etc. Now, after you've done the trove and the 3 gem buildings, what do you do next? Well, that's really down to the individual at this point. After that, that's pretty much you done with spending gems on things that are actually necessary, shall we say. Next, you should work your way towards T4, and that includes doing the economy tree as much as you can. Then you switch to the military tree and you get everything up to 10. Well, as high as you can until you get your gem buildings, then you can get everything to 10. You can get the offenses to 10 before you get your prison, battle hall, and altar to 10. Everything else you need to get those 3 buildings up to 10. So definitely work on those 3 buildings. Then, once you got those 3 buildings, I would probably recommend either gemming researches once you got all your helps, or maybe speeding up maybe making a bunch of troops if you really want. Just make sure you protect them with your life, because they're not cheap to replace, and I keep telling my guild to protect their shit, and they don't do it. And that really frustrates me, because it doesn't matter how many times I tell them, they don't do it. So I give up on them. So just, whoever's listening, make sure you protect your shit. Because if you don't protect it, it ain't gonna protect you. Because it's gone. So, after you've done the trove, then the 3 gem buildings, then researches and troops, then what? Well, you're never gonna have enough troops, so I guess keep doing troops. If you want to spend on brave hearts to get the heroes that you want up, for example, attacking heroes, so you don't have Rose Knight gold yet, then get Rose Knight, maybe spend some money, spend some gems on brave hearts. Or just save your gems up and save them for a rainy day. Maybe you want to do a massive troop boost, maybe there's a hell event that will come up, you want to do that. Saving gems is also an option, if you don't want to spend them. What else is there? Make sure you've always got enough gems for golden hammers. You can, and I always recommend buy the 5 golden hammers at a time. You may only save 500 gems, but those are 500 gems you could spend on Sankaos. That's half of a 1-day shield, and a third of a 24-hour speed up. So if you follow all those, so Trove, gem buildings, then research, then troops, then whatever else, just don't spend them on buildings, just let those bake. Um, Golden hammers, definitely want some of those. If you can, keep them in stock. I wouldn't recommend gemming familiars or anything, that's just not worth your time. Just let those bake as well. Other than that, I don't think there's much else you can spend gems on. I'm probably missing something, but I don't think so. What else I guess you could stockpile speed ups, like maybe every week or so, buy a few 24 hours and just stockpile them. Um, but yeah. Also, make sure you don't, like, if you're gemming troops, make sure you don't just hit finish now and if you don't have the resources in packs. I did that once when training T4 and didn't realize until it was too late, and I'd already gemmed 3 matches without enough gold. And let me tell you, I went from 100k gems down to about 12k gems instead of going from 100 down to about 92. So, always make sure you got resources in out when you're gemming troops. Now, I believe that to be everything for this video in terms of how to spend your gems as a free-to-play player. This kind of also applies to play-to-play as well, I guess. You'd probably do it in that order. But as a play-to-play, in what order it doesn't matter because you'll get it all done anyway. Whereas free-to-play will take months, weeks, years, and so on, depending on how much you put into the game, what guild you're in, etc. If this video was helpful to anyone, then feel free to give it a like. I know it was a little bit waffly, a little bit repetitive. If you're new around here, feel free to subscribe. I'm out for today, and peace.